Hi everyone, this is Helloangel.design. Today I'm going to show you how to make this cute dress. It's a beginner friendly tutorial. We are going to make a few adjustments on the pattern paper. This dress that you see right here is for 3 to 4 years old child. You can see my strap. I just cut a piece of fabric and stitch it to cover the raw edges. You can see it's like a flower. You don't have to, but if you want to, I have already shown how to do that on this video. And it's a gathered skirt and I top stitch around the waistline. For the back of the dress, there is elastic. So this is elastic on the back of the dress. You can decide to make bigger elastic or smaller elastic and put it around and also top stitch. This is how it is once you have done making your own dress. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Make a comment down below if you have any question. If you're just stopping by, thank you so much for watching. If my tutorial has been helpful, thumbs up and let's get started. Thing that you have to do, we are going to make a little adjustment for the front pattern paper and the back pattern paper. This is 3 to 4 years old child pattern paper. I just place it on a different paper and trace it out. If you don't know how to make a basic pattern paper, I've uploaded the video on my YouTube, so I'll put the link down below so that you can go and check it out. So first thing that we have to do, from the shoulder seam, I'm going to measure inside 1/2 inch from the shoulder seam. I'll place my measuring tape. I'll measure inside 1/2 inch. From the armhole, I will do the same thing. I'll place my measuring tape. I'm also going to measure inside 1/2 inch. So this is how it is. What you're going to do, you take your armhole curve from this 1/2 inch, connect it to the neckline. You just place it like this. You connect it to the neckline. Once you have connected the front neckline together, you can see I use my pencil so that you can see the difference. So you're also going to do the same thing with the armhole. Place your curve like this. You just also go ahead and connect it together from here all the way down like this. You can see how that is. You can just go ahead and blend everything together. Before we cut it out, from the bottom of the dress, I'm going to add 1/2 inch. This is not seam allowance. This is, I just want to add 1/2 inch. My seam allowance is always 1 centimeter. So I will just add 1/2 inch all around the bottom. Once you have done that, go ahead and connect that together. So I have connected that together. So what you're going to do, you take your scissors, you cut it out. Don't forget to add your seam allowance. So for me, I will just take my scissors. I will just go ahead and cut it all out. So the next thing that you have to do, you take the back pattern paper from this armhole, you just connect it all the way down to this other side. You take your ruler, so you're just going to connect it all the way down like this. So what you're going to do, you're going to cut this out. This is what we need. Remember to also add 1/2 inch from the bottom. You just go ahead and add 1/2 inch all around. Once you have done that, also go ahead and connect it together. So this is how it is. I will take my scissors right now and I will just go ahead and cut it out. I have cut out my pattern paper. This is how it is. I pin it on my fabric and this is the back of the pattern paper. So when you pin the back of the pattern paper, make sure to put it on fold, and the front is also on fold. So this is the fabric that I'm using. You can use any fabric of your choice. So you're just going to add your seam allowance around your fabric or your pattern paper. Go ahead and cut it out. Normally when I make my pattern paper, I don't add seam allowance. When I pin my pattern paper on my fabric, then I add seam allowance all around. So go ahead and cut out your fabric. I have cut my fabric out. This dress has a strap at the shoulder, so I cut 2 straps. I'm going to fold one like this. So the width is 1.75 inch, the length is 13 inch. And this is my front bodice, and I cut the lining, and my back bodice, and I also cut the lining. And this is my skirt. I cut 2 pieces. The width is 25 inch, the length is 15 inch. So you cut 2 pieces, 25 by 15. In this dress, we are also going to attach elastic at the back of the dress. So this is my elastic. Make sure you should have your elastic ready. So let's start putting the dress together. First thing that you have to do, you're going to put the both fabric together. This is the front of my made top. This is the front of my lining. Make sure both fronts are facing each other. What you're going to do, you're going to pin around the both armhole and the neckline. So go ahead and pin it all around. I have pinned the front fabric together, both the armhole and the neckline, and I also do the same thing with the back. I just pin the top, so I'm not stitching the side seam yet. Make sure both front fabric are facing each other. Once you have done that, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all the way down. My seam allowance is 1 centimeter. Depends on the seam allowance you add on your fabric. That is what you're going to use it to stitch your top. And I also go ahead and pin my strap together. Put the both front together, pin it together, go ahead and give it a top stitch all the way down. And you do the same thing with the second pieces. So go ahead and stitch them in place. I have stitched my front top and my back top together. This is how it looks. Make sure to snip around the neckline curve in the armhole. This is how I snip it all around. And this is my back dress. I just turn it inside. I'll give it a good press. Once you have done that, the next thing that you have to do, go ahead and give it a top stitch all the way down. So once you have done that, for the front top, what you're going to do, make sure to turn your strap inside out. I realized that my strap, the width is too short, so I have to go back and cut a new strap. So I decided to cut 2.5 inch width. The length is also 13 inch. You can see that the seam is not at the edge right here. The seam is in between the fabric. So what you're going to do, you're going to put it inside the front shoulder. Place your strap inside. Make sure the front like this, the seam will be facing the lining, while the smooth edge will be facing the made fabric. You just put it inside, or you can place a pin at the top like this and push it inside. So you pull it out, remove your pin. So you just go ahead, pin that in place. Once you have done that, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch. You also do the same thing on this other side. Once you have done that, go ahead and turn it inside out and give it a good press. I have stitched my strap together. This is how it finally looks. I just turn it inside out, give it a good press. This is how it looks right now. And this is the back. I have also stitched it together. The next thing that you have to do, from where you stitch, you're going to measure 1 inch down. So I will place my measuring tape. I'm going to take a measurement of 1 inch right here. I'm just going to measure it all the way to the end. Connect the 1 inch together. And then from there, measure again 1 inch. Once you have done that, go ahead and also connect the mark together and go back again, repeat the same process, measure down 1 inch. I have connected my 1 inch together. What you're going to do, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all the way down, and you do the same thing on this side. You do the same thing with the third one, because this gap that we have here, we are going to put our elastic. So go ahead and top stitch. I have give it a top stitch. This is how it is. The next thing that we have to do, we are going to attach our elastic. The length that I have here is 10 inch. If you're making this kind of top, make sure to measure around your child chest measurement and decide the elastic that you want. If 10 inch is too tight, you can always make it 11, 12 inch. What you're going to do, you put it inside like this, inside your dress. Use a pin to secure the end right here, and go back and push it all the way out. So you just push it all the way out like this, and also use a pin to secure this place. Remove the pins. Once you have done that, take it to your sewing machine, secure this place, and then go back and secure this place. And you can also go ahead and give it a top stitch all the way down to secure the elastic in place. Once you have done that, repeat the same process on the second open gap that you have right here. Repeat the same process like this. Put your elastic inside all the way down. Use a pin to secure this elastic in place. And go ahead and remove this pin. And also go ahead, use a pin to secure this other side. Once you have done that, first thing that you have to do, just secure the elastic in place, and then go ahead and give it a top stitch where the elastic is. I have stitched it together. This is how it is right now. The next thing that you have to do, you're going to put them together. Put the both front of your fabric together. This is the front dress, this is the back of the dress. You just put them together like this, and we are going to use the lining and fold it over like this. Go ahead and pin it in place. You see the way it is. Once you have done that, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch, and you repeat the same process on this side. Put the both sides seam together like this, just like this, and then use the front lining, fold it over just like this. Go ahead and pin it together. Once you have done pinning, this is how it will look. The next thing that you have to do, go ahead and stitch it together. My seam allowance is 1 centimeter. I have stitched the both sides seam. This is how it look right now. The next thing that you have to do, I will just take my scissors and trim this out a little bit. Go ahead and turn it inside out. This is how it will look right now. This is the front of your dress, and this is how the back will look. The next thing that we are going to do, we are going to stitch our skirt. So you put the both skirt together. Make sure both front fabric are facing each other. Go ahead and stitch the both sides seam together. Once you have done that, use zigzag to overlock the raw edges, or you can also take it to your serger and overlock the raw edges. Once you have done stitching that, set your sewing machine to the longest stitch and stitch around the top of the skirt, because you are going to gather it on this dress that you are making. If you don't want to gather your skirt, you can also go ahead and pleat your skirt on the top dress that we are making. So go ahead and stitch that in place. I have pinned around the waistline. The next thing that you have to do, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all around. Once you have done that, remove your gather stitch thread. Once you have removed your gather stitch thread, also go ahead and zigzag the raw edges or take it to your sojo and overlock the raw edges. So go ahead and top stitch. I have stitched my skirt on the top of the dress. This is how it finally looks. It's really cute. I overlock the seam allowance with zigzag stitches and I push the seam towards the bodice and I just top stitch around the waistline. This is how it finally look, and I use the opportunity to hem the dress. This is how it look right now. What you're going to do, go ahead and cut a piece of fabric 6 inch by 3.5 or 4 inches. What you're going to do, fold it into 2 like this. We are going to use it to cover the raw edges of your strap. So you place it like this. Just go ahead and fold it into 2 like this and stitch across all the way down. So that make sure when you're stitching, your stitches hold the strap with this fabric together. You just stitch it across and then flip it inside out. I will show you how that finally look. So go ahead and top stitch.